I was honestly a little jealous when I went to see this film last night because they had the premiere of Mission Impossible screening in the IMAX theater next door with word that Tom Cruise was in the house. So sitting in my theater seat next door, that's where I wanted to be until the first scene of this film. And after that, I'd forgotten all about the explosions in the next room. If this movie hasn't been on your radar, please look out for it this week because I haven't laughed so hard in a theater in probably years. I mean, it had me laugh crying, laugh tears, if that's what you call it. Honestly, that's super rare for me. And just check out this movie. Let's do the review. So Friendship is the debut film of writer-director Andrew DeYoung. DeYoung has directed a few TV shows that I've never heard of, like Our Flag Means Death, Pen 15, and a TV show called Shrill. I mean, where did this guy come from? I'm not gonna lie, for the first time at bat, he knocked this film out of the park. This film is not only well directed, but DeYoung's writing is some of the best dark comedy that I've seen in years, maybe decades. The film stars Tim Robinson as Craig Waterman, a suburban husband and father who works for a company that finds ways to manipulate people to become addicted to a product or a service. Craig is sort of a loner without any friends at the office or in his personal life. His wife, played by Kate Mara, is a cancer survivor who has a very unhealthy relationship with her ex and sort of odd relationship with her son, played by Dylan Grazer, who you may remember from films like Shazam and It. This kid is 21 years of age now, by the way. I mean, time freaking flies. Craig is this insanely socially awkward guy who has a real hard time making friends, always saying the wrong thing at the wrong time, making everybody feel awkward and confused, and usually embarrassing his whole family. When he returns a misdelivered package to his neighbor Austin, played by Paul Rudd, they strike up a conversation and Austin invites him over for a drink. And they start to have a relationship that could reach best friend status. Until Craig does something out of the ordinary to make Austin and his group of friends uncomfortable, causing Austin to break off the friendship.
I don't wish to continue this friendship at the moment.
What results is a wild ride with so many unpredictable events that you won't see coming until the very last frame of the film. Friendship actually premiered at the 2024 Toronto Film Festival, so it's been circulating for a while and was finally picked up by A24. I'm not sure why it had such a late release, but I am very excited to see that it's finally being released this Friday, May 16th. I've heard this film compared to 1996's The Cable Guy with Jim Carrey, and one of my all-time favorite comedies ever, I Love You Man, starring Jason Segel and, of course, Paul Rudd. And I agree.
You're a very nice guy, but I just don't have any room in my life for a new friend. Okay?
But this film goes quite a few steps further. This film is about not only the awkwardness of male bonding and starting a friendship between two guys, and of course what happens when that friendship goes wrong to the point of no return, but it's also about what it's like to be just insanely socially awkward. This is more a Craig story than it is a Craig and Austin friendship story. The way that I Love You Man is a story about the meaning of two best friends and navigating that awkwardness. I Love You Man is kind of a sweeter story, but again, this story really revolves around Craig. He sees the guys at the office and he feels excluded from them, but he doesn't really care about a real friendship with another guy until he actually gets a taste of what that looks and feels like with Austin. And as he daydreams about what their relationship could be later, things kind of get out of hand and a little awkward. This film isn't just about the awkward relationship, friendship, breakup of two guy friends, but about all the awkward relationships and interactions in his life with his wife, his son, his co-workers, and pretty much anyone around him except for maybe Tony, the cell phone salesman, which when you see this scene with Tony and Craig, it was my favorite scene in the movie. Amazing. Craig is sort of weary about male relationships. I'm not sure if it's because he knows he's extremely awkward and always says the wrong thing, But when he's invited over for a drink by Austin, he's more concerned with seeing the new Marvel movie with his family than hanging out with some guy. When he does finally get with Austin and the group of guys, there's a scene where they start singing to one of the guys who's struggling with a certain situation to comfort him. And Craig, still sort of unsure if he'd be completely welcomed by these guys, starts to show that his walls are starting to come down. And it's actually a really sweet scene until he starts to be unencumbered and pretty much ruins it all. Tim Robinson is absolutely fantastic in this role. I was so excited to see this film because I'm a huge Paul Rudd fan, and his character is pretty much Brian Fantana from Anchorman.
60% of the time, it works every time.
That doesn't make sense.
Which I love. This film could have been a spin-off of Anchorman, where Brian moves to a small town, even though this was filmed in Vancouver, works for a local station where he's now a weatherman, married, and just living a laid-back type of life. And he was great in this film, but Tim Robinson is the star of this movie. He brings a lot of energy that you'd see in his Netflix skit show, I Think You Should Leave, and then he turns it up to 100. Based on his show, I wondered if he improv'd or wrote some of the scenes for this movie, but apparently they stayed extremely close to the director's script. I honestly don't know how Robinson played this role and pulled it off in a way that was extremely funny, yet believable. He was really over the top, but in a way that you could see this actually happening. I noticed this type of character that I've met in my life many times that were so incredibly awkward, that always just said the strangest, inappropriate stuff at the weirdest times. And he really understood this personality type. And to pull off some of this dialogue was amazing. He says these absolutely insane things, all while making the perfect facial expressions and body movements that make the scene insanely funny. One of the first scenes where he and his wife are at a support group for cancer survivors, and his wife is voicing a concern about her cancer coming back. And it's a tight shot of his wife, but then she goes out of focus and Craig kind of comes into focus. And this is the first time that we actually see Craig, and he says something that's supposed to come off as sweet and supportive, but comes out really odd and inappropriate. And I knew from that first scene that this was going to be a good time. When the relationship between Austin and Craig is over, Craig tries to take on and become this Austin-like character to his coworkers at work and to his family. And he wants to be this cool, carefree person that he admires so much that he completely goes overboard, and all of it feels weird and very forced. And again, Robinson kills it. The interesting thing about this movie is that he's trying to become something that Austin really isn't in the first place. These two characters are so incredibly well written that it becomes more than a dark comedy. It has real meaning and issues that men struggle with on a daily basis in one way or another. The cinematography was fun and different at times, using mostly natural light. A lot of the scenes feel flat and cold and isolated, but on purpose. There are some great cutting choices where you see Austin and Craig picking mushrooms somewhere in a medium 2 shot, and then you see this establishing shot that showed them in a local park, which was kind of funny. A great, very simple scene where Craig is looking at a smoke detector on the ceiling while he's laying down, and then you see him walk in front of it as if he's walking across the ceiling. There's some great simple match cuts that I really enjoyed. The cinematography was really on point. The score was really interesting. The music that starts and ends the film is very masculine sounding, like something you'd hear guys chanting in a guy's retreat and some sort of brotherhood ritual. It gives you sort of an unsettling feeling with a touch of humor, setting you up for what you're about to witness. The writing in this movie is some of the best comedy writing that I've seen in a long time. It's not only incredibly funny, but it's funny because the writing sets you up for every laugh and almost like giving you a punchline from a joke. There are a lot of setups and repeat images that bring a lot of meaning to the film, like a tight shot of a certain flower, the complaint from the wife about not having a bigger car, the packages that keep getting delivered to the wrong house. This is going to be one of those cult classic films that people like me will be quoting for years and years. This is a very quotable movie. Every line is so unexpected and pretty much perfect. The movie does feel a little long at times, and I was wondering where and when they'd land the plane. The film is only like an hour and 40 minutes, but it felt like it just kept going. There's a lot that they're trying to cram into this movie, There is a point in the film where things are kind of wrapping up and it seems like everything's going to be all right. And I kept thinking, please end it here. Please roll the credits. Because you want him to, I guess, essentially succeed. But no, it ramps up the crazy again. And I was kind of glad it happened the way that it happened because it stayed true to the film and the nature of the film. The last frame of the film was a little confusing for me, but I like that it was sort of open to interpretation. Friendship is one of my favorite films of this year, and it'll be on my top 10 list of 2025, even though it's technically a 2024 film released in 2025. If you really love great dark comedies, this is the one you're waiting for, with fantastic performances from the whole cast, especially from Rudd, and one of the best dramatic comedic performances that I've ever seen on film from Robinson. This film has it all. It is a little long at times and it drags a bit, but every moment of the film is still so much fun to watch. I absolutely can't wait to see this film again. I'm giving Friendship 4.5 stars out of 5, and I really wanted to give it 5 stars, but I honestly felt that I couldn't just because, it should have landed the plane a little sooner in my opinion. But again, I absolutely love this film. It is rated R for language and some drug use. Run out and see this film if you can. You will not be disappointed. So are you planning to see Friendship this weekend? Go with a guy friend. It'll make it a lot more fun, or a little awkward, depending on your relationship. Like and subscribe for my take on all the latest major films in theaters. And remember, don't wait till it streams. Let's go to the theater and let's see it together.
There's a new Marvel out that's supposed to be nuts. We should go see that.